Pride and Prejudice is a three-volume novel, as I've discussed before, and as the scavenger hunt shows us, certain things, certain very concrete things, are repeated exactly once in each volume. She cares about the structure enormously. In fact, the three-volume novel structure has a kind of very subtle joke in volume one, where Miss Bingley is pretending to be interested in her book, but she's got because she's got the second volume of the book Bingley is reading. This is like imitation work. She's in the middle of a book. Of course, she doesn't like it. It's a failed imitation. It's a bad move. Caroline, who has Miss Bingley, who has all the advantages, yet somehow never manages to turn them out or actually get uh, Darcy's attention. I want to talk about two of the important things that repeat, very concrete things, exactly. It's not vague things, but very concrete, specific things that happen once each book. One is marriage proposals to Elizabeth. Our protagonist gets three marriage proposals once a volume, like clockwork. um, there are other marriage proposals. As Wickham, however, like Elizabeth gets three, one every volume, and three grand houses to which Elizabeth arrives in different ways, not fully invited. And the ideology about those houses matters a good deal. So, first of all, let's talk about those three marriage proposals. There's Mr. Collins, then there's Darcy 1.0, and then there's Darcy Proposal 2.0. These are three very different things. Mr. Collins gives the worst wedding proposal in kind of in the history of wedding proposals. It's like a PowerPoint. Darcy gives a failed wedding proposal, and then Darcy gives a successful wedding proposal. We're getting better and better as we go. I would point out one of the basic choices that any narrative prose artist has, or any artist has, what to dramatize, what to give us directly, and what to summarize. Mimesis and diegesis, show and tell. Mr. Collins' proposal is shown to us. We don't need to be told that it is a terrible wedding proposal. We hear it in enormous, excruciating detail. It goes on a long time and it goes wrong early, very early. Darcy's first proposal is partly in direct quotation, shown, dramatized, mimetic, not diegetic. We get to see it is directly rendered as speech in quotation marks, and then it breaks off into summary. Note carefully, when Darcy's doing not so badly, it's in direct quotation. Once he goes off the rails and begins like talking smack about Elizabeth's mother and whatnot and gets worse and worse, that moves into narrative summary. Austen's narrative just sums up for us what's going wrong without us having to hear it. It's very important. This is a technical move that allows us to forgive Darcy. We know he did this stuff. Like the good part of his first proposal, we get to hear. The bad part, the disqualifying part, is still basically a rumor. And then, of course, Darcy gets it together and gives a proposal that works. Check. Why don't you look in the book and tell me what he says? I'll wait. It's in volume 3. What does he say? We don't know. That is withheld from us in narrative summary. When a lot of Austen's narrative art, and she is a profoundly skilled narrative artist, is about withholding information, releasing it later. What works is withheld. We are forced to supplement that with our imagination. Hell, we're also forced to supplement with our imagination what Darcy looks like. We know he's tall. Okay. 3 marriage proposals, clearly structural, clearly the plot is built around them. I want to talk about a subtler thing, the 3 big houses. I want to talk about Netherfield, Rosings, and Pemberley. Three places where Elizabeth Bennet does not really belong. First, I want to differentiate Netherfield, the house Bingley is renting, from all the other houses. You can tell there's Lucas Lodge and there's Longbourn. Longbourn is an inherited home. Longbourn is nothing like Netherfield. What is the second sentence? I'm sorry, the third paragraph of Volume 1, Chapter 1. My dear Mr. Bennet, said his lady to him one day, have you heard that Netherfield Park is let at last? It is rented. Netherfield is the home of the person who should be the kind of anchor aristocrat, the main aristocratic leader of this area. That is not Mr. Bennet. Whoever the normal owner of Netherfield Hall is absent throughout this book, has probably run out of money, or has either run out of money and has to rent out the big country house, the estate, because financially embarrassed, or has just effed off to London, absconding from all the real aristocratic responsibilities, not showing the leadership, not showing the philanthropy and the charity work that person is supposed to be doing. Volume 1, there is supposed to be an alpha male, an alpha aristocrat who's a dude in Netherfield Hall running it. Bingley is not that guy. Bingley is just a tenant. He is temporary. He could leave at any moment, but also he's got a lease. It's not his house. And then Elizabeth and Jane are there. Jane has been invited, and Jane gets sick, so Elizabeth goes over, and Elizabeth is just kind of unwelcome. You need to say it like it's right. This is one of the many ways, as I said in an earlier video, where Austen contrives to put Elizabeth and Darcy together in third-party territory, where neither has to go to the other's home. There's a missing alpha. There's a missing male aristocrat who should be in charge. Mr. Bennet ain't filling that role. Mr. Bennet, in various ways, absconds from his paternal and aristocratic duties, retreats to his library, just likes to laugh at everybody. The father is actually one of the problems in this novel. The mother's the more obvious problem. Father's the less obvious problem. Sounds like another video, which I'll make later today. The second volume brings us to Rosings, Lady Catherine de Bourgh's country estate. There should be a man in charge there too, but he's dead. Lady Catherine is a very rich widow and has actually managed, unlike the Bennet sisters, to inherit the estate, at least for her life, and is being terrible about it. Part of the ideology of this book is, though it's written by a woman and it is beloved of female readers and feminist readers, part of the ideology of this book is actually that women shouldn't necessarily inherit, right? Like, Mrs. Bennet is the one who objects that it's wrong to entail the family estate away from her daughters, because it has to go to a boy. And Elizabeth and Jane, the best daughters, the smart daughters, argue with her, argue for their own dispossession. That's a very strange moment. All that said, Rosings is a second place where a male aristocrat should be there and should be the anchor for that community, should be the leader, providing providing direction to the other gentry and sub-gentry, leading in charity work, all of that. There's nobody in charge. These are two houses whose normal masters in the ideology of this novel, Austen's ideology, not mine, should be there. Then we finally go to Pemberley, the most impressive of these three houses, to which Elizabeth only consents to go on the express understanding that Darcy is not there. It's a third house where the natural aristocratic owner, the landowner, the pivot, the local squire is not there. He's only temporarily out of there. The joke is, oh, he is there. How embarrassing. Elizabeth inhabits a world where the implicit ideological take is that there is a lack of male authority. Yes, she is our plucky, sassy, smart, witty female heroine. But those three houses are about her trip to final. And finally, it's an authority like, here's a house. And actually, the real problem with Pemberley's house, she realizes, there's no lady in charge. Well, Elizabeth can